Co-living is becoming one of the fastest growing real estate strategies across the country. And today I brought on an expert in the topic, Christiane Silveira, who owns multiple co-living properties, does coaching, and is able to give us the tips and tricks on how she manages them, runs them, and why this is such a great strategy for cash flow in 2025. You're listening to the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, episode 163 with me, Chris Rickenbaugh, and I'm using this podcast to document my journey in real estate and business and also talk a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. You can find me everywhere on Instagram and TikTok at chris.rickenbaugh. That's chris.rickenbach. And if you're listening to this podcast, stay right where you are, but it's also available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and now Amazon Music. So before we hop into the show today, co-living is one of the topics that everybody is really curious about. And for all these people with long-term rentals that may not be cash flowing great, this may be the right strategy for you to be able to turn them around, start earning a little bit of cash flow, and especially if you're just looking to get started out. This is such an awesome episode with so many tips and tricks that you should be writing down throughout the episode. So without further ado, let's hop into the interview. All right, Christiane Silveira, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, Chris. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to hop on the podcast and teach us a little bit about co-living today. Because we were talking a little bit before we hopped on here, and you're talking about 6 to 9 bedrooms, multiple projects going on, what's going on with the market. So I'm so eager to dive into, this strategy because it's something that's taken over the Charlotte market. I know you're down in Atlanta and it's huge down there, so I'm excited to get into it. But before we hop into the co-living stuff, can you give us a short introduction of yourself and then how did you get into real estate?
Yes. Hey, thanks so much for having me here. I'm so excited. And I'm from Atlanta. I have two boys, and I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've been originally from Brazil. If you want to do family of
Yeah,
orange, my family in Brazil, we had a small business. My dad invested all the money that he made in real estate. He used to build houses and, so I grew up seeing those things. Came to the West, have been here for 20 years, 25 years actually. Have two boys, and I started my a small business 20 years ago, went really well. Everything that I made, I put into real estate, right? I didn't have the time to do everything. So I would buy a property, I would make it better and then leave it for rental and then buy that one down and then get another one. It's very, very slow. But that's how I started. And then I after I would say 10 years ago, I started doing more some flips with my partner, two flips maybe a year, make extra income. And then I would say, the reason that I really start getting to real estate is my business, I wanna, like when you feel like you gotta do something else, you've done
yeah.
it for a long time, it's time. And I decided to go. I was like, okay, so how can I get into real estate? One, I can get my realtor license, and I'm like, I don't want to work evenings, I don't work weekends, I don't want to show people houses.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And then I was doing 2017, I was doing, I found out about the SCR loans. So I was able to buy properties, a little bit faster. So I was like, wow, I used to deal with a lot of loan officers. I'm like, oh, maybe I should be doing that because I have no problems talking about money. I think it's good. I love the way how the loans work, underwriting. What's scary for some people, it's easy for me. So that's I started, and I said, I'm going to start doing this full time, and that's what I did 3 years ago, and here I am.
That's awesome. So were you working you had your own business or you were working a W-2 before you went full
Now
time?
I have my own business. I never worked
Gotcha.
for anybody else. I think I did corporate America for less than a year, and I'm like, this is not for me.
Oh, it's so hard being put in that 9 to 5 window. So I'm relatively new out of it, about a year and a half, and I'm like, I don't think I could ever go back. But
Yes.
from that business, were you able to take some of the things you learned and then roll it into real estate, or was it completely separate?
No, it's in there. Like we had employees, we had payroll, we had managers, district managers. So like it's just about getting the meetings, talking with the team, train, culture. I mean,
Gotcha.
and you're talking about the real estate, but with co-living, you can apply that so much, and we can get into that once we go through, how I screen people tenants, but it has everything to do with business. Like having employees, their mentality, culture, standards. So
Oh,
that I took from my 20 years of small business, venture.
gotcha. Yeah, that must be a pretty good rollover because now, it's different, different area of business, but you're still rolling over pretty much everything you learned and could do. And now it's just a different industry. But you brought up co-living. So this is your specific strategy. You're branded the co-living girl on Instagram and you're slowly growing that brand, which, I'm seeing it pop up on my feed even more. So for those who are new to it, what is co-living and how did this come to be your strategy?
Yes, so co-living is a single family house, like it's any group sharing homes, right? Like sober living would be another kind of co-living, student housing. So it's a single family house where you have bedrooms and several tenants that are not related, and they share the same common spaces and sometimes the bathroom, but that's the idea of co-living. So it started out hundreds of years ago. Like it's very, very strong outside the US. And you see how we hope everything goes and start getting bigger here in the US as is outside the US. So,
Hmm.
but that's and then I was doing fix and flip for the last 3 years, doing a lot of them. Last year, one of our properties was not doing well, like with fix and flip in the last year and a half or 3 years, as you know,
Hmm.
kind of like go up and down. So we had this really beautiful property here in Atlanta, and this is back in October, so last fall. And I was like, okay, we have this property. We kept cutting the price, wasn't selling. I'm like, we're holding this. And then I have a friend of mine who was doing co-living, and she said, "Why don't you start looking at co-living?" And I was so scared, and I'm like, I'm gonna give it a try. I went in there. We saw the property. I walked the property, my GC. I knew what to do as far as the rooms, set up the rooms, parking, and then I said, I'm just gonna do this. And from that property on, I haven't stopped. I
Wow.
fell in love with everything, co-living is just, yeah, I'm a buy and hold investor. So if you buy and hold investor, because a lot of people get caught up, okay, co-living, it's overwhelming. No. If you think of co-living as one of your strategies, right? You like I've done as a buy and hold, I've done short term before, middle term. Now we do co-living, shared housing, and just a different way to learn the process, but it's pretty much the same things. You just learn the rules, and I think co-living has to do with hospitality. So a lot of people, they don't understand much of that, but if they understand that it is hospitality, it is treating the tenants well, you're gonna have beautiful business into co-living, and it's scalable too.
Yeah, and talking about scaling it, this is something that we're seeing in the Charlotte market, and I know it's been going on in Atlanta, I think a little bit more. And people do this all the time. It's just, oh yeah, I'm renting out these extra rooms. Maybe I close off the living room and rent it out. But why is this growing so much in popularity right now compared to and as a main strategy rather than compared to flipping or wholesaling or other
Yeah,
buy and hold strategies.
I think, for the investor side, the last 3 years, if you're a buy and hold investor, if you buy a property and hold, you're not cash flowing at all. If your cash flow is $200, which we know $200 a month it's nothing. Your first vacancy, it's all gone, right? So I think the first thing was like, okay, we co-living, you can make at least 1,000 cash flow, whatever you want, at least 1,000. And I think the potential of making that cash flow and doing your buy and holds was a great opportunity for people like me and a lot of investors that are not able to cash flow in this market. That's the first
Mhm.
thing. Second thing is just pet split became even more, like they start out in Atlanta, probably like 2018. So there's a lot of people, OGs, that have been doing co-living since then.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing, but wasn't spread out. Nobody was talking about it. But I think with all the market conditions, right? You see one side, you see this Jay-Z community that, the people don't want to buy houses. They kind of want to, it's a different lifestyle. They want to travel, experience. And then we have on one side the workers that, make 40,000 a year, 30,000 a year. They cannot afford that bedrooms, studios. So this year became like, wow, it's more houses, more people have been going, and sign up on Pad Split, and it's becoming the biggest strategy. And if you do it right, like I said, you can scale. Because you don't want to just do one or two. I mean, you do whatever you want to do, but if you want to scale, this is, there's a way of you to scale and build properties and make a wonderful cash flow and create impact too. Because what we're doing here, because a lot of people ask me, oh, but you see what's happening with Airbnb. I'm like, oh no, it's very different. We are solving a problem here. Airbnb is creating one, right? Because
Hmm.
everywhere they go, the prices go up for all the properties. They create all of that, price increase, but not co-living. Co-living, we offering opportunity for people to have a clean, quiet space, and it's if you do everything that you're doing well, I mean, you can really grow in this strategy.
Yeah, and speaking of the more specific aspects of it, so you're basically getting this big home and with probably I think you said over 1,700 feet. So let's go into the specifics of what you're actually looking for in a home, and then we can talk about acquiring it because you're looking for a specific tenant person to be able to come in, inflation's going up. So are you, you know, how are you looking at these properties to see if it's even a good co-living opportunity?
Okay, so just the basics. No HOA, because we don't want to make sure, that anything to do with HOA. No septic tank, because we're going to put more people in there than the house was designed, right, to do. And it's 1,700 square footage. Now, the layout, what we like is ranch, those ranch or one floor and maybe a basement.
Hmm.
If you have a ranch on the first floor and the basement, you golden. And 3 and 2, because we know if it's a ranch, we know we can easily put up walls. And we make all of the TV rooms, the dining rooms, depending on the size, we convert those into bedrooms.
Okay.
And if we can, we build bathrooms too. So the properties that I look at it's usually 3 and 2, and we convert to seven, 3 bedrooms, sometimes four,
Hmm.
because we want to make sure that we have enough bathrooms, private bathrooms and shared bathrooms. So that would be the buy box, like,
Yeah.
and then we go location and all of that.
So, and then how you're adding in all of these bedrooms, how are you doing that in the ranch style homes? How are you seeing what layout you can divide up a little bit more to get an extra bedroom, maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms?
Usually is those old homes, like they have the formal dining room, right? Remember those?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then they have the usually a TV room, and sometimes a TV room it's big. We
Hmm.
can usually split that in two and put a wall in the middle, and then make that a two, and then put a hallway when you come in, so we can have 2 rooms here. So there's already three bedrooms. And sometimes in a dining room, if they depending where the other bathroom is, we can build another bathroom right there.
Hmm. And now, is there specific measurements for how big each room is supposed to be?
Like pet split has their requirements. I think
Okay.
every state, you should look and see. But here at Atlanta, we usually do like 7 by 10, sometimes nine by 10. It's not that big. But
Hmm.
a pet split, I think their requirement is 7 by 10, I think.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I remember doing the interview with Pad Split and they went through all their requirements and but that's just for their, specific style. So how do you incorporate I'm getting a little bit ahead here, but how do you incorporate Pad Split with your marketing strategy for this?
like, well, I don't do much as far as marketing. I
Okay.
mean, their portion, they got it. Like
Hmm.
we have not had an issue with our homes. As soon as they go live, usually in 2 weeks, they're fully booked. So that's not our issue. And I tell everybody, if you want to scale, use Pet Split if you have Pet Split where you are, because they got that part already. And another great thing that they do is the payment processing. Every member, makes payment weekly. So I mean, it's amazing that I don't have to do with that. Because there's a lot of other things that we need to do, that we need to put VA in place and make sure that we have the right team to support the volume, because more properties that you manage, the more things are going to happen.
For sure. And that's where, so with Pad Split, that's just the company that's really blown up and, like you said, started marketing. So they have that area down. And then to explain how you use Pad Split, so let's say you've bought the property, you've bird it, and now you've split up all these bedrooms. How are you furnishing it? And then how are you going to Pad Split to for them to market the property?
I already, like when I'm already my first one, because once you get your account rep, you go back to the same person, right?
Hmm.
So I say, hey, I'm looking at this property. The account rep can even give you the occupancy rate, the room rates, but that all of that can be found on a host. Like if you sign up as a host on PetSplit, you can see all of that data.
Hmm.
People underestimate, and sometimes they ask questions like, PetSplit offer a lot of stuff already for hosts. You just need to go in there, and there's a lot of resources built in there. But that's the first thing that I do. And then once the property is ready, I kind of take a look. Like my homes now, I know they're all the same, but I used to look at the properties and see what people are offering nearby, right? And usually what I see, like my homes, they all have TVs. My homes all have desk, and like so people can work inside the room, and then queen beds, wash and dryer. So there's a lot of stuff that we offer that some hosts they don't offer.
Hmm.
Like there's a lot of homes that they're not going to have TV. So with Pet Split, they have their minimum requirements. Above that, you do whatever you want to do, as far how you decor the rooms and everything else. So for us, we want to see a desk, we want to see a chair, a nice bed, beautiful home, like and um, we want to make sure that we have cleaning. That's another important thing too. That for us, a lot of hosts they clean their pad splits monthly. We do twice a month,
Okay.
which works out really well. But and then we just set up on pad split. Everything's super easy. If there's any questions, you can call customer service and pay for a professional, which Pet Split has a bunch of professionals that are there you can call and take professional pictures, upload it there, and then you go live. And then after that is just learning. They have a process and an app, very easy to communicate with all the members. If there's any issues with maintenance, the members can open up a ticket. So it's just like property management after that.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And then because you're the property manager, PadSplit is just the platform to be able to mark the vacancies and then collect the money through there. So it's the platform, but you're still doing all the property management.
Yes, because they do, some of the screening, but you should not allow anybody to do it, right? You
Yeah.
do yourself, and when you have more properties, you hire property management if you want to. But it's always good because screening is most important part. Because once you open up your home, you want to make sure that everybody that's coming in, you know who are coming in, you know their ages, you know what what kind of, because you want to put in the members on a property that have something alike, right? You don't want to put a 20-year-old with a 40-year-old or vice versa,
Hmm.
because it's not going to work. And that's what we tried. For us, screening is very important for us. We usually have our VA handling all the new bookings, whatever the requirements we have. And then we always get on a call with each one of them to make sure they understand the rules, to get a feel of, who they are. And you find out a lot of things by, asking simple questions.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. I went through so I did a smaller version of this with my little house. And so it's just a two bed, one bath, 850 square feet. So I rented out the extra bedroom and oh my gosh, the Facebook messages, being able to go through there and then actually having a couple people come through and see if this is what they want to do. It's like, "Hey, can I move in next week?" I'm like, "Well, that sounds like a red flag." So being able to
Yes.
go through that process, make what I had done was I think I took it off the Bigger Pockets rookie show. Somebody had it. They said if you're getting that roommate, it's like you take them through the rules and you make them sign it at the bottom. So if you ever have disagreements or something, you can look back and say, "Hey, here's what you agreed to." And it sounds like you guys are exactly doing the
We
same
do.
thing.
We do that. We have them sign. And this is a process that we do along with Pet Split. Pet Split
Hmm.
do their things, but we have our own screening. And we also have them take a picture with their ID and social security. So
Hmm.
we go through that. But sometimes, like they send a booking, you have 24 hours to approve or not approve, right? Or else they get accepted automatically. So
Hmm.
sometimes you don't hear back from them at all, 24 hours. So we
Wow.
deny. We say lack of communication, we deny, because it's, for us, it's better for us deny whatever we think is going to be a red flag than accept people, and then a month later we have to fill the house again
Yeah.
because they're not matching. Because sometimes you do that because you want to have the house filled up, and then we say like, oh my goodness, this is not working out. So we've learned to take our time to do, even if it's take a month to fill the entire house, but we know those people we put there, they're gonna stay. Because if they move, it's not good. Because we have a Pet Split has something, there has a booking fee, which is they charge you 8% for property management, and then the first 10 days of the member staying at your place, 100% is for Pet Split. So you make
Hmm.
no money for 10 days.
Yeah.
And the minimum stay is 6 weeks. So if those people stay only for 6 weeks, you didn't make any money.
Hmm.
Like, do you see what I mean? So for us, it's
Oh
very
yeah.
important when we ask them while we're screening, hey, are you intending to be here? How long? We always get people that want to stay for 6 months because they work nearby, and we know they're gonna be staying there. So okay, this is a good one. Because sometimes people just come and go. It's just normal.
And so the type of people that are coming and living in these, you said it could be a 20-year-old, it could be a 40-year-old, and we all know that the market is super inflated right now. Things are getting really expensive.
Yes.
So compared to, renting a studio or a one bedroom apartment compared to living in an 8 bedroom home on a pad split, what do those numbers look like and why would somebody want to live in there
We
or in a pad?
usually, yeah, like the way the Pet Split price their rooms, and what I've learned from my underwriting, you usually want to check the studios in the area, what one bedroom, see what they're charging, and you want to be at least 20% below that price,
Okay.
right? So if I am here, I'm looking for one bedroom, I'm gonna look at one bedroom apartment or studios, I'm gonna have to put security deposit down. I'm gonna have to furnish it. I'm gonna have to pay for utilities every month. I mean, it's a lot. And then if I go to Pet Split and if I do the rent by the room, I don't need to pay for utilities. There's cleaning, people cleaning my room, the common area. And also, I don't have to worry about anything. I know every week Brad Split's gonna be deducting that money from my account, so I don't have to worry about anything else. And there's no, you don't need to put security deposit.
Hmm.
And I can stay for the minimum 6 weeks. So it's not like I have to sign a year lease.
Yeah.
So something happens 3 months later, I lose my job, or something happens, I can always go back and live with my parents. So
Hmm.
that's the great advantage that a co-living offers. And you have internet, you can work from home. It's amazing as far as for them. And for us, as far as investors, like the vacancies are really low because usually when somebody leaves 2 weeks later, you find that somebody, you fill the room really quickly.
Hmm.
So, when the underwrite compared to my underwriting for my long term, like vacancies can kill you. You know that one
Oh
month
yeah.
away, oh my gosh, I'm already in this market that you make 200, you cash flow 200 a month. 1 month, it's already killed you everything. And if you have any maintenance issues, oh, you're done. You're negative.
Oh yeah, you're playing the long-term game if you're looking to buy and hold. And that's why it's so interesting hearing the different numbers because I remember back in 2019 when I had my first apartment. And I mean, it was just a little studio apartment, probably 500 square feet, maybe five to 600, I would say. And then, I mean, that rent was probably around $700. And now that same apartment's going for around 11 to 1200 a month. So I can see, why people would want to go and live somewhere that's, on a weekly basis or, the 6 week basis because they're saving so much money. And
Yes.
because they could probably pay 600 to 700 for that 6 weeks rather than getting their own apartment and then putting in an extra 1,000 or 2,000 on the security deposit, the utilities, setting everything up, and then having to leave. And
Yeah.
so talking about it as an investor, your normal house, if you were to rent out this 1,700 square foot, 3 bed, 2 bath, what would that number look like as a single family rental? And then what does that look like as a pad split? Just so people can kind of get it in their head as, hey, this is the long term rental, and here's the pad split numbers, and here's why we're going with the pad split.
So long term for the areas that we have is between 2,000 2,500.
Hmm.
Rent has been coming down, a lot lately. So that's how much people are paying to stay at a property like mine, right? Before I had all the rooms. Now, if once you rent for pet split, you're getting pretty much between 800 to yes, between 600 to 850 per room monthly.
Wow,
That times six is 48. I mean, that's time nine, because that's what we're doing nine, it's 7,000.
that's
That's
crazy.
gross. And then of course you have more running expenses, like because you need to have a business concept when it comes to, screening people, make sure that you have the right crew if anything happens. But you pretty much making 2,000, some of our rooms we cash flowing after if it's stabilized, takes about 6 months. After that we make between 2,000, 3,000. And we've seen a lot of investors around us making the same amount
That's the popularity of it. I mean, you're
in
starting to see them.
the same
Oh, yeah.
property. I'm telling you, that's like why people are not doing this. I know it's more work. It's not, I'm not
Yeah.
downplaying that. It's a lot more work. It's different, but you don't need to babysit tenants. If you set up good systems, you set up processes, you hire people. If you have a team, you can make this, a very good investment.
And that was one of my question is, what are the biggest headaches from this strategy? Because, thinking of it like you just said as an investor, I'm like, okay, 9 people in one house fighting over the kitchen, fighting over the bathrooms. She stole my milk. I'm like, that's enough for me as an investor to go, no. But once you break it down and like you said, you have the systems, you can scale this pretty quickly and you can have a lot of them and run it the same way. So, how are you setting up those systems to be able to get everybody to stay in line, make sure that houses are filled, and then just that they're, everybody's cooperating.
Yeah, I say, going back to how we started the podcast, I was saying
Hmm.
about my business that I had employees, I had to train, and we had a culture, and like all of that is the same thing. That's the way I see it. Like all of those members are like employees, they're like people. If you hire them on and tell them, hey, this is the way we do here, this is our culture. Those are the rules. This is what you're gonna do. This is the job description. People tend to conform.
Hmm.
Like what you're saying, oh, hey, John stole my peanut butter, or Amy took my whatever. We never had, knock on the wood, in our homes. We hear stuff like that, but and then another thing, as soon as something happens, going back to the business, we face the problem right away. We manage in a moment. So we go ahead. My VA puts something for all of the properties. If we need to go there, send my property manager there, make sure everything is good. My cleaners are trained to keep a look and make sure everything's good. Like if there's no smells, if you know what I mean, like make sure
Yeah.
everything's good. And the more that the home is stabilize, the more other members take pride. Like the old employees, like, no, hey, you coming, you new, they take you under their wings. Like this, is how we do it here.
Hmm.
Like if they've been there enough and they like it, they start leading, natural leaders to the entire house. So far it's been great, but if there's any issues, like I said, we deal with that in managing the moment, make sure everything's good. And one thing, Chris, if you're seeing one of my homes, and like we pay for bug spray and roaches, like we pay for stuff, like I said, cleaning every 2 weeks. We
Hmm.
take care of our members. If you send a ticket, say, hey, the wash and dry is not working, or the AC some problem, we are going to send our contractors there. We're going to send any of our AC people there right away, as fast as possible. So that's important for us, because we know the happier you are, the longer you want to stay.
Yeah, and that's amazing listening to it because that's all it is, coming back to businesses is the systems and processes. And for me getting started, being relatively new to it, that's all the stuff I'm building. So it's awesome to be able to bring people like you on the podcast and realize it's like, hey, once you get the stuff down, it's so simple. Like, being able to get around those people that make the impossible look like a Tuesday morning. And I think that's something you do with co-living. So it's great to hear. And Christiane, I want to be respectful of your time. So if somebody wanted to, get advice on co-living, wanted to learn a little bit more, what's the best way to get in contact with you or follow you for the tips and tricks?
Yeah, so I have Instagram. My handle is the co-living girl. So follow me there. I'm always putting a bunch of stuff in there. I'm going through my process and I show everything. And then I also have a Facebook group, co-living just for women. It's called Co-living Women Investors. And there I pour a lot of stuff. I'm doing more Zooms, trying to create more of a community inside co-living. So, and let me tell you something else. In October, I'm going to be speaking. There's going to be a summit for co-living for women only. We're here in Atlanta, October 17, 18. I'm going to be there. A lot of women in a co-living space that are doing great things are going to be there too. So, if you guys from Charlotte or anywhere in the US, if you're a lady, or, you want to send your wife, or if you guys are doing co-living, this is going to be a great room to be in. October 17 and 18 in Atlanta.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you have a link for that, make sure you can send it over to me. I'll make sure I
Yes.
put it in the show links and the tags and make sure we get it put in there for anybody who's interested in those events. So
Yeah, and follow me Instagram. If you have any questions, message me there in DM. I always trying to find time, to talk with everyone and help people out.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christiane, for willing to be a guest on the podcast. Tons of great information here on co-living. Make sure you go follow the co-living girl on Instagram and for all of those tips and tricks and for the event in October. For Christiane and Chris, this is the Leadway Wealth Builders podcast. Thank you so much.